All right, welcome to this lesson here where we're going to be taking a look at solving an equation given a certain variable. Um, Specifically, I want to just take a look at that first piece there. It says a linear equation can have more than one variable. We often have x and y, or two different variables. The only way we can solve an equation like this is if we're given the value of one of the variables. If we're given that value, we can solve for the other one. Okay, sometimes it's a little easier, sometimes it's a bit more difficult. So if we have something like this here, y equals x minus 8. Well, what are the values of x and y? We got to go through and find that. Okay, we might be told, let's solve for y when x equals 13. Well, then we know what one of our variables is. So in this case, we know what x is. So we can plug the x or the 13 in for x. Okay, we just replace it exactly where it goes. Now, can we solve? Yeah, you bet we can. What is 13 minus 8? Well, it's 5. So we've simplified the right-hand side. We know now that y equals 5. Part of this here is representing that when x is 13, y is 5. Okay, so that's kind of a relationship. It's a relationship piece that we're looking at. And we'll get more into that as we look at equations and relationships between two variables. Right now, we're just going to look for, if we plug something in, can we solve it? So here's the next one. If we have the same equation, but we're told that now y is 16, can we solve for it? Yeah, we can. So let's plug the 16 in. Now you'll notice that the 16 goes in for the y. All right, let's solve for x. What we need to do, we need to first get rid of that negative 8, and we do that by putting a positive 8 on both sides. And now our x value is 24. So when y is 16, x is 24. Okay, so that's how we solve for it. Now for the next number of questions, I'm going to want you to pause the video when the question comes up and then try to solve. Once you have solved, start the video again and we'll see if you got the same answer that I did. So here's the first question. Y equals 5x. Now solve for y when x equals 2. So pause the video, come back in a couple minutes. All right, so we're going to solve for it now. We're going to take our equation. We're going to take our 2, which is x, and we're going to plug it in for x. Now, remember, the original equation was 5 times x, so we have to do 5 times 2. 5 times 2 is 10. That tells us that when x is 2, y is 10. Now let's do the same thing, except now, or the same equation, but now we're told that y equals 45. Solve for x, and then come back when you're done. Let's solve for x. So we take our equation, we put our y value, which is now 45, in the y value place, and solve for x. Well, how do we do that? Divide both sides by 5, right? That's going to get the coefficient away from x, and we're going to be left with our x value by itself, and 45 divided by 5 is 9. Okay, let's do another one. Here we go. Pause the video, come back when you're ready. What you hopefully noticed when you were working on this one here is that we have two x values. Now there's a couple ways that we can solve this. We could plug the x value into both spots, 2 times 5 plus 6 times 5, or we can simplify it to start. 2x and 6x gives us 8x, and so now we have a simplified version there, and we can now plug in our x value, solve, because we can calculate 8 times 5, and we get our y value to be 40. It becomes a little more important to simplify when we're looking for the y value. So take the same equation, simplify it. Now let's solve for x when y equals 4. All right, plug the 4 in for y. There we go, right there. Now we need to do some backwards working, right? So we have to get rid of that 8. We're going to divide both sides by 8, which becomes 1/2. And so our x value is 1/2. And it's totally okay to have a fractional x value. It's totally good, okay? It's fine. It could also be a decimal in this case, but let's go with the fraction at this point. All right, let's do another one here. Let's solve for y when x equals -3. Go for it. I'll come back in a bit. All right, first thing we're going to do, and again, just to make it a little bit easier, let's simplify the like terms. So combine our like terms together, and 7 and negative 4 becomes 3. Then take our x value, plug it in for x. Okay, so now we know it's 3 times negative 3. We can do that calculation and we get negative 9. And so therefore our y value equals negative 9. Always try to combine like terms first if you can. Okay? If you have like terms, combine them together. It's going to make it a lot easier to solve. Then take whatever value you have, x or y, whichever one it happens to be, and solve for the other one. Okay? Sometimes you have to do a little more work. Sometimes it'll be fairly straightforward. Hope that you've enjoyed watching this. Thank you so much for watching and have a wonderful rest of the day.